Yeah, thank you so much for sticking around to listen, and yeah, thank you so much to Heather and all the amazing speakers that have gone before. Like Heather said, I'm Rosanna. I am one of the steering group members for Nottingham Youth Climate Assembly. I'm part of Nottingham Climate Assembly. We're a group of local people who started conversations in 2020 about how we might get climate assemblies happening locally, and it's all about just bringing all of sort of different people from the community of Nottingham into situations where they can hear about the issues and make decisions about what happens in our futures. And there's been some really successful examples of public assemblies like this around the world, and it seems to be a growing movement that we want to grow here in Nottingham. So that's kind of climate assemblies, but more specifically, I'm a teacher. I can't anymore claim to be a young person, but I should say I should have also been introduced with the wonderful Greta, who can claim to be a young person within the age range of 15 to 25, which is what the Youth Climate Assembly is all about. So bringing together young people from Nottingham, Greater Nottingham, to a weekend at the University of Nottingham in July this year, 9th and 10th of July, to hear and discuss and have dialogue about what the issues are for our city, and be able to think about how we can create a future which they will have a stake in, and that they will be able to hold policymakers and decision makers to account on, and also to be able to be part of that future as well. To be part of building it and creating it. So I don't want to talk for too much more before asking Greta to step in. The one more thing I should say is that back in January, along with the help of Green Meadows and the Pythian Club, both amazing organisations in Nottingham that want to work with young people on climate issues, we were able to win a climate action fund of £10,000 to put this assembly on in July, but it's also going to be about more than that. It's going to be about creating those avenues for young people to come together and have that longer term voice. With that in mind, it's all about handing over the voice to young people and the opportunity to speak. So I want to ask Greta to talk a little moment about why she wants to be involved. She is a wonderful youth panellist. We have set up a youth panel to help with the organising of the Youth Assembly, and they're involved in making decisions, supporting with all the community outreach we're doing at the moment to get more people involved. And so I'm going to ask Greta to kind of step up and say, well, why is this important to you, Greta?
I was only told about this like 5 minutes ago, so this is very on the spot. But yeah, I'm really happy to be. I was obviously very worried about the climate, and it caused quite a lot of stress. And then when I started like doing actions to try and combat it, so like going to strikes, going to like meetings and that, it made me feel like slightly less worried. And I think this is good because like it gives me hope instead of feeling like this is completely hopeless. And I feel like as well as we come up as a community and it's very people-based, that we all come together. And that's what I think the Climate Assembly is doing really well, because obviously it's very important for everyone to be involved in the climate conversation, but young people's voices aren't quite heard as well in like higher places. So starting from the bottom with a youth-led group will make it more like inclusive to everyone and all ages, because I think young people also have different perspectives on like how to combat things, and we all probably believe like similar things, but to be involved in it is really special. And yeah, it just gives me hope, and hope that we can actually do this together. So thank you.
Yeah, so I think I should say a huge thank you to Greta, because we couldn't really do this without people like Greta putting their time during a time when they're juggling so many things, their studies, a lot of I think pressures. I think it's fair to say at this time when you're sort of 16 to 25. She's super inspiring, and I think just giving those avenues and spaces where young people can realise that they have power, they do have power, and they do know a lot, and they can make a big difference, and we need to give that as much of a platform as possible. So if you would like to support us, if you would like to get involved in the Nottingham Youth Climate Assembly or find out more, you can stop off at our stall in the building inside. We're on the left, and also we are looking for young people from 15 to 25 who might want to be involved in the Assembly, so please spread the word, that would be marvellous. And come pick up a flyer and follow us on social media, or and visit the website, sign up on emails, etc. If you might be interested in facilitating or volunteering at the Assembly or in the build-up to the Assembly, we'd be hugely grateful for people to come up and sign up for that. We're going to have training for free from Involve, who set up the England-based Climate Assembly. They've got lots of expertise, and it's going to be a really great opportunity. Plus, you get a free weekend, catering, and etc., and being part of something which is, I think, going to have a really big impact. Just any way that you might, any of your own ideas or any of the ideas of young people that you know, we are really keen to listen to and keep building on this. It's not just about one weekend assembly, it's about all of the opportunities that we can offer through that to bring young people together and give them space to create their own ideas, basically, and bring those into action. So I'm not going to say too much more, but I just want to thank all of the wonderful people who have come here today. I want to thank the people who are on the assembly stall in particular, and who have popped to chat to us, and particularly Hadisa, who is here from Nigeria studying environmental leadership and is learning from what we're doing here, so that she can go off and do something like this in Nigeria. So what's so inspiring about that is that we can have a global impact by having a local impact, because we're learning from each other. So hopefully that's interesting and inspiring for some ideas that might continue to flower from our experiences. Thank you so much for listening, and keep in touch.
Thanks a lot to Rosanna and to Greta. Very well spoken, thank you. It's nice to hear from the youth. This event's about all ages, and that project's absolutely amazing, and we really want to give more young people a voice. So that was really good, thank you. I'm now going to introduce Jennie, who's from Extinction Rebellion, and going to let you know a little bit more about Extinction Rebellion.
I'm the other end. I am not young. I might be even be the oldest person here. I'm 72 on Monday. I've got children and grandchildren, and that's why I'm here. And it's wonderful we're here. I'm old enough to remember when black and white people in the States could not share the same school, when black and white people in South Africa could not share the same living accommodation, could not share the same bed. I remember when there were signs, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs in this country. I remember women and men, when women could not get credit unless their husbands signed. I remember when gay people, if you were actively gay, you would be imprisoned. Now we have gay marriage. Change is possible. If we look back, the whole history of this century, the last century rather, has been change. But change comes about when people get together. Change comes about when that group of people and their friends and allies get together and don't put up with it any longer. When disabled people chain themselves to the bus platforms because they can't get on the bus, then things change. Change happens when we make disruption, when we make a nuisance of ourselves, when the suffragettes set fire to the pillar boxes. It's not easy. We don't want to do that in Extinction Rebellion. But we've tried marching, haven't we? And we've tried petitioning, and we've tried lobbying our MPs. How many decades have we been doing this? You know, Margaret Thatcher, she's a scientist, she was a scientist, and she knew about climate change. She talked about it. Despite all the COP meetings and the pledges, climate emissions are still rising. Isn't that disgusting? Yeah. Despite all the people that know about it, the people in power, the governments, the fossil fuel industry, climate emissions are still rising. The latest report from the International Panel of Climate Scientists says we're heading for 2 degrees above pre-industrial level. That means uninhabitable planet for lots of people in the world. Those people who did least to create the problem, mainly in the poorer southern parts of the world, are having the worst effects more quickly. We know all about it. I don't need to tell you. What I do need to tell you is there is hope. Because we've made change before, and we can do it again. And it's great to do our recycling and planting trees and all the wonderful things we're doing. But we need to target power. It's the only way things have changed. Build a huge social movement, like the movement that got women the vote, or black people equal rights, or gay and lesbian and trans and all those oppressed groups. We built a movement. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing in Extinction Rebellion. We're targeting power. A week ago, there was a huge gathering of Extinction Rebellion friends in London. 8,000 people on the streets. We sat in the roads, caused disruption. I didn't like it. You didn't have to be arrested. I've never been for XR, even though I've been in from the beginning in Nottingham. Some people went to the Shell offices. They dressed up in their suits, and the women in high heels, and they walked in. And they talked to those Shell employees, heart to heart. Do you understand, they said? Do you know? Will you join us? Do you realise the damage? What about your children? What about your grandchildren? And for me, that is the way. We talk to the police. We have a little chant. It goes, "Police, police, we say to you, this is for your children too." And one of the things I love about Extinction Rebellion is that heart to heart. Targeting power with disruption. Targeting power with hitting them where it hurts. Barclays Bank, we've got hundreds of thousands of people to take their money out of Barclays. All over the country, we're every week outside Barclays Bank. We target the big three, the banks and insurance companies that enable and fund and insure Shell, BP, the big oil and gas companies. That's the second target, the fossil fuels. And the third is the government. You know, I have to pay an increased bill for my energy. I don't get a subsidy. Anyone here get a subsidy? Well, the big fossil fuel companies get a subsidy. The government allows them to use tax loopholes, gives them effectively a subsidy of £2 million a week. Doesn't seem fair to me. And there's never been a better time to talk to people about energy and the cost of energy and how much we need renewables and how much better it will be not to be dependent on Russia or anywhere else, to have renewable energy. And what's the government's latest energy policy? Nuclear power and more oil out the gas sea, out of the North Sea, and a coal facility in the north of the country. So we're up against it. But what are we going to do? Nothing? Or are we going to get together and have a movement? Because you know, when you're in a struggle together, you feel more positive. You feel more uplifted. You feel more hopeful. You feel inspired. You know another world is possible. And that's good. It's good for me. It's good for you. It's good for the children. And what we do needs to meet the scale of the problem. If we all recycled forever and ever, it wouldn't solve the problem of big oil and gas companies, big insurers and banks, and governments that support them. So I'm encouraging you to come and have a look at our stall. You can see it's over there where the flags are. Think about it. Because one of the other things I love about Extinction Rebellion is we have a great time. I'm in the samba band. Some people make banners. Some people sing. Some of the singers that you saw this morning are in XR. Some people give out leaflets. Some people make leaflets. So people do what they feel they can, that feels right. We say, we're all crew. We're all crew, and that, look around and see the other people here, and thank them for being here. Say thank you. We're part of this great movement of change. We're all crew. Don't be afraid to look at someone different, because the key to it is to build community. Community here in Beeston, community within XR, community in our movements. So say hello to someone, because we're not going to do it without community, are we? I can see one or two people having a little look. Dare yourself, yeah. So, I want to appreciate everyone here, and I want to encourage you to think big. We have power. They have power, but we have power too when we get together. So thank you all, and let's all see ourselves as part of a great climate movement, making another world possible. Thank you.